Hello, friends. Recently, I got kind of interested in this thing called solo role playing, and there's a lot of people doing solo role playing channels right now. The one I like the most is called Geek Gamers, but there's literally hundreds I've run across on YouTube. Some of them are very produced with a lot of edits. Some of them kind of feature voice acting, but not all of them do. And I think they're kind of interesting and I'd like to do it myself or give it a try. The game I'd like to play is my old beat up copy of, well, it's not that old, Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. Let me pop that up there. Hey! Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls, which is, um, I've always liked the old Tunnels and Trolls, and the cool thing about Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls is that it's a cleaned up version of the rules. It feels very playable to me. Tunnels and Trolls is it's interesting because it's the second role playing game. It has that distinct honor of being number two in a lot of ways, and the earlier versions of it are interesting and unique and a little bit swingy. Like your characters will die in Tunnels and Trolls, and is that really conducive to epic storylines? Well, maybe, maybe not. It's hard to say. Um, but anyways, I thought I would get into it. Now, the other thing I thought I would use to get into it is something that I'm really interested which is the Mythic Game Master emulator. And then I also like two other books from the same people. One of which is called the Adventure Crafter, and the other one is called the Location Crafter. I have used those two tools to come up with storylines for my comic books, so I know that they're kind of reliable in the way that they can kind of generate ideas and content and help you brainstorm. Brainstorming is everything in the world of creativity. Like if you're going to create a story or you're going to create a game or anything else, you have to be able to come up with lots and lots of ideas really quickly. And you don't use every idea, but you kind of, or at least I kind of like to generate a lot of ideas and pick and choose through them, narrow the list down, and do all kinds of things like that. The Adventure Crafter is kind of interesting because the way it works is you start out by ordering your priorities. They have five priorities, which are action, mystery, tension, personal, and social. And you can decide like which is the most important for you. I mean, you could completely focus on action for maybe a dungeon crawl thing, but maybe you want some action and some mystery and some tension. And if you want to tell the story of one particular character, personal has got to be in there somewhere. You know, it's got to be in there somewhere. And social is what you see with most of the this is your voice actor style role playing games, which I'm not such a big fan of, but where it's a lot of interacting between characters and um, kind of slice of life. Not as useful in a solo role playing game context, though. I did play around with Adventure Crafter. I don't have a physical copy of it. I have it on PDF, so I won't be able to show it to you unless I share my screen, which I'm not going to bother doing for right now. But I did make up 3 characters, and I used. Oops, I hope I have 3 characters. Where's my third guy? What? Oh, there he is. He's there. What I ended up using was Old Skull. Old Skull Games is Kent David Kelly, and all of his stuff is really brilliant. I use, well, I think I have like almost everything that he's put out, including some of the books like Hawk and Moore, um, which is his histories of Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson. But I did this with his Delver Enhancer to make these characters. So I've got Eckard, who is a human rogue. So, Tunnels and Trolls, there's only 3 classes. There's a number of different races, but generally you stay with a certain selection. They're not the same as the D&D races, though. So, Eckard's a human rogue. Muzzshoal is I put him as a half-orc, but in Tunnels and Trolls lingo, that's an Uruk. Uruk. So, Muzzshoal, the Uruk, also known as Muzzshoal of the Stone Horde or Muzzshoal the Slow-Witted. He is a death chanter from a barbarian tribe. Eckard is kind of kind of a bard character, a courtesan bard. And then Faradoc is a leprechaun. That's an unusual character that you can play in Tunnels and Trolls. In Tunnels and Trolls, you can play a fairy, a leprechaun. If you choose some of the even more unusual races, they have things like gargoyles and balrogs and stuff like that that you could have. And in fact, there's a whole alternate version of Tunnels and Trolls that I highly recommend called Monsters that Ken St. Andre created, where you play the monsters attacking the adventurers, which is kind of funny. I love Ken St. Andre's sense of humor, and he's very cool, and he's still around. You can follow him. I highly recommend following him on whatever social media. I don't know. I just think he's a cool cat. All right. So, anyways, I want to tell you a little bit about the adventure and also a little bit about how the Mythic GM emulator works, because we won't have a GM, so we're going to have to sort of come up with things on our own. The Mythic GM emulator, it centers around this thing called the fate chart, and the fate chart is basically a chart that says, when you're brainstorming something, see if you can reduce it to a yes or no question, and then come up with a probability. Is it impossible? Is it very likely? Is it probable? And then it assigns a percentage of what you need to roll to get a yes. It also assigns the extreme ends of the percentage to be extreme yes and extreme no. And so, for example, this town that I've developed is called Ice Hallow, and I decided, does it have catacombs? And it turns out that yes, it has catacombs. And does the catacombs have? Are they a secret? And I got an extreme no. They must be famous then, right? So that when I rolled that number, I think I rolled like an 05 or something, extreme no. Or no, it was a 90 something because it's no. If it's extreme no, then they must be a famous set of catacombs, right? So Ice Hallow is the town, and we're not going to start out in town. I also did the Adventure Crafter, and I kind of came up with, here's some printouts from Adventure Crafter at least. It gives you sort of this printout sheet that you fill out with your priorities, right? And then you get to roll in this gigantic 26-page table to come up with plot points that you're going to hit, and then you sort of get creative and come up with a way to meld these plot points into a plot line. And in my case, these are the plot points that I got. The first one was mystery. There's a common thread. A bunch of things that seem unrelated that are happening turn out to be related. So that's the first plot point. The second plot point is that this takes place in a rural setting, and that is our town, which is Ice Hallow. The third thing is a personal one. One of the characters is wanted by the law, and I decided that would be Muzzshul, the Uruk. Okay, I'm going to just start calling him by his Tunnels and Trolls legitimate description. He's an Uruk, and he's a death chanter. And then he's wanted by the law, and then one of the other plot points is some kind of frenetic activity. This could be a chase scene. This could be something with a lot of activity. There's just something where everything goes crazy, right? Frenetic activity. And then finally, the last one is a problem returns. And so here's what I decided the story is, or the plot line is for this particular adventure. There's this town called Ice Hallow. And Ice Hallow is in a rural setting. It's kind of a ways from everything else. It's actually a town of exiles. Like people that are kicked out of other places have kind of ended up in Ice Hallow. And there's even a chapel, like a special chapel, dedicated to the saint of the ostracized named Yaldir. Right? They're a farming town. It's a small, farming town where they grow onions. This is my sense of humor. They're growing onions. All the exiles are there, and people there are more or less fairly unpleasant. They're very famous for their extensive um, graveyard complex and the catacombs underneath. Um, they are renowned for some reason. I think that they may be related to, maybe there was a plague or some kind of catastrophe where um, this set of catacombs, or this miniature necropolis, was erected, and the untouchable people of Ice Hollow are the ones that are supposed to maintain it. I've decided. Oh, what's a couple other questions we could ask? Are there frequent um, issues with undead? Let me bring up the fate chart so I can show you. In fact, I'm going to print out a copy of the fate chart so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, we're back. I got some stuff printed out from my copy of Mythic, and most importantly, I got the fate chart printed out. This is kind of the whole game, all up in this fate chart. Although the content is really amazing. Like, there are just pages and pages of random tables, what we call descriptors, and so you can roll on all kinds of random tables for inspiration, or to throw something random into the game to make it really interesting. So anyways, here's how it works when you're coming up with content. Is you start by just brainstorming, and you're trying to answer yes/no questions, and you assign a, let's see if you can actually see this. You assign a certainty, a set of odds to your yes/no question, and then you just roll a dice, and you go pretty quick, right? You don't want to like dwell on the thing. You could spend hours developing content, and I often do, but coming up with storylines and everything else. But so this is my little, I call this a mind map. This is used in adult education to help you remember things and also to tie ideas together. So in the center, you see I have the town of Ice Hall. I have in parentheses here, it's made up of exiles. There's a chapel to Yaldir, saint of the ostracized. I made that up using the fantasynamegenerators.com and just a couple of ideas. And I have this idea that there's some catacombs. And I'd ask the question, is there an undead problem in the town? Like, do they have recurrent undead attacks, or, that come out at night? And I think it's likely, and our chaos factor right now is at 5. That's where we start out. You can see it's kind of highlighted. So we're going to say 50% chance yes. So from anywhere from 0 to 50. And I got a... look at that, I got a 63. So they don't really have undead problems in town. So we're going to say no usual undead issues. And, but because they're outcasts, are they unfriendly? And I'm going to say it's likely they're kind of unfriendly, like the whole town, because they're just made up of just unsavory, untouchable characters. So I'm going to say that's 50-50. So we're going to go with this. And this time I got a 12. Now let's take a look at my chart here. If I had rolled under a 10, the answer would have been super yes. Like, they're super unpleasant. But they're generally unpleasant. Let's just put that over here. The exiles we could actually connect it to the exiles, generally unwelcoming, right? So now we have an idea of how this adventure is going to go down. Now I've got some other ideas because I filled out this stuff from the adventure generator, and I have a couple of ideas where I've kind of mixed all these plot points up to come up with what we think is going on. But we're going to start it with this. We have... Where's my characters? This is what happens when you're not prepared. Here's my 3 characters, Eckhard, Farah, and Mushul. And they're traveling from somewhere together. and they're not lifelong friends or anything. This is actually their first their first meeting together. Farah is also known as Farah the Silent. That's a thing that I rolled when I was doing the adventure generator. So I'm going to say he's a man of few words, and also he is a when I was rolling up, he's called a Dreamlander themed illusionist. So if you've read any Elric of Melnibone, you know that there is a whole world of magic where you can enter people's dreams. So, anyways, they've all three heard that there is somebody recruiting warriors to take part in a mercenary company, and let's say that they all showed up, and these are like the guys that didn't make it, like they didn't make the cut. It turned out to be like an elite mercenary company, and they had a couple of tests, and all three of these guys failed. Eckhard is a bard; he's not very tough. Farah is a leprechaun; he's not very tough at all, and Mushul is a criminal, or at least he's very scary. He's an Uruk, and he's a death chanter, and he's got this skull tattoo over his face. And the Stone Horde is not a very trustworthy orcish tribe, so they don't even know why he's there. But for whatever reason, of course, he was not invited to be in this mercenary company. So they hear some rumors that there's another company that's recruiting, and they decide that these three are going to go off. Actually, Eckhard and Muzzshul decide Faradox is discovered to be tagging along, and they say, well, you're welcome to come with us. And he just kind of gives them a grim smile because he doesn't talk much. He's not exactly mute completely. And over the course of a couple of days of traipsing through the wilderness, they become at least traveling companions, if not friends. What kind of wilderness is it? I would say it's plains. It's probably plains. We could actually roll that on our chart. Probably. Very likely, let's say. 75% chance. Yeah, 25. So, the surrounding hexes, Plainsland, and they unexpectedly find themselves on the outskirts of the town of Icehallow. Oh, and the reason it's called Icehallow, I'm just going to decide that it is this is like a wintry landscape. So the fields are tall grass, but there's snow on the ground. There's some cart tracks or whatever. And let's see, do they know anything about this town? I'm going to say it's, well, let's take a look at their skills. This guy's got skills in mining. Eckhard has got tracking and seduction. Mushel has got talents in hunting, and so none of them really know much about this area. They're all kind of outside of their normal realms. So, do they know anything about the town? I'm going to say somewhat unlikely. Which is 35%. And I rolled a 0-1. That's super yes. Maybe they totally know someone. Do they know? Are they familiar with the area? And they got an 0-1. So, yeah, they're very familiar. So, actually, this must be the hometown of Eckhard, okay? He's like, yeah, we'll go to my dad's house. It's in what's the town's called again? It's in Icehallow, right? And we'll be able to replenish our supplies there, and maybe we can even get some horses or something like that. And they're actually outfitted really crappily. Eckhard carries a club. He's got light leather armor, but he's only got a club. Mushell's got a spear. And Farah's just basically got just a dagger. So they didn't roll much gold, to start out with. Anyways, so if they know about it, Eckhard could say, oh, by the way, don't be taken aback too much by the unfriendliness of the townsfolk. everybody here is an outcast. And so they ended up here. Now, over the years, of course, new generations have been born, and I can't remember exactly why everyone here was an outcast originally, but every once in a while we get a new outcast. You shouldn't have any problem, Mushel. Mushel just glares at him. Why would I have a problem? So Mushel over here, so one of my plot points is Mushel is wanted by the law. So anyways, they go into town, and once they go into town, everyone kind of treats them very suspiciously. So they're all very suspicious. Nobody talks to them. As soon as they see that Mushel is hanging around, and finally they realize why as they walk through the town and they get to the one tavern in town, right? And they see like outside the tavern there's like a wanted poster, and it's they don't exactly have photographs in this world, so it's a crudely drawn picture of an orc with a skull, an uruk with a skull tattoo similar to Mushel's, and it says wanted for necromancy and dark magic. Also, beware, he is a cannibal. It has a buzz and has, very dangerous. Do not approach. Simply alert town guard. They look at it. Eckhard goes, "Could this be you?" Mushel goes, "The whole tribe looks like me like this. That's not me. I don't have any dark magic. I don't have any magic at all. I'm a warrior." But in any case, I think Mushel gets mad. He tears down the poster, and a couple of townsfolk even notice this, and they whisper amongst themselves, and they go off. And they go in the tavern. Of course, nobody talks to them. The innkeeper fearfully gives them all drinks. So remember, it's Mushel, Eckhard. Eckhard tries to talk to everyone. "Hey, you remember me? I came from this town. What's going on?" And he tries to assure everybody, "Look, he's just a member of the same tribe. He's reformed. He's civilized, I swear. And he has no magic." Let's see if Eckhard actually has success. He has tracking and seduction. He doesn't have persuasion. The way skills work in Tunnels and Trolls is you only have a limited number of skills, but you could get more. And so here's the way it works. We're going to get a couple of dice here. We're going to say it's an L2. It's an L2 talent check. An L2 talent check is a 25. You roll 2 dice. If you get doubles, you can roll again. And you add your charisma. And if you have a talent, you can add an extra 3. He doesn't have the talent that he can apply to this. But by the way, Mushel's charisma is very high at 17. So Eckhard goes ahead and tries. Now, it seems unlikely that he's going to he would have to roll a double 6s or any double and reroll again to add to 13 to get 25. But we're going to go ahead and roll. Because this is, by the way, how you get experience points in Tunnels and Trolls. So I rolled an 8. An 8 and 13 is 21. That's enough for a level 1 success, but it's not a level 2 success. So we got 21 points of adventure points. The innkeeper isn't convinced, but he serves them drinks anyways. And they hang around the inn for a while, drinking a couple of ales. And by the way, the innkeeper says, "Oh, no charge, no charge." And he actually surreptitiously sends his son out to go fetch the town guard. Meanwhile, Eckhard and Farah and Mushel all try to pay attention to any rumors or anything going on nearby just by overhearing or whatever else. So I'm going to use their, I guess in this case, luck. We could have a number of different choices that we could use. Let's go ahead and just make it luck. Or it could be charisma. To overhear anything. This would be a level 1 because it turns out that in the town, if you remember my plot point here, is there's a common thread. And the common thread is there's been a lot of vandalism of the chapel the chapel to Yaldir, and there's also been some gravestones disrupted on the way to the catacombs, and the door to the catacombs has been unsealed by something. And of course, everyone's saying, you know who it is? It's probably that Uruk that they have, that Uruk that they had on the poster. He's been involved in dark magic. It makes perfect sense. And now here he is in town. It's just too coincidental, isn't it? So they're going to try and overhear these rumors. I'm going to say it's an L1. So Eckhardus tries to overhear it. He gets an 11 plus 13, 24. So he definitely catches the rumor. We only have to roll once for these. Otherwise, we would just be stacking up experience points, which is not how it works. So Eckhard relays it back. He's like, I think there's something going on, and it's probably a good idea that we should be leaving very soon. So they get up to get out, and just at that moment, where's my plot point summary here? Just at that moment, now I'm using my plot points here. Common thread, rural setting, wanted by the law, frenetic activity, right? So as soon as they get to that moment, at the door, the chief of the town guard arrives, and basically arrives with a couple of guards in tow. And I think I made stats for him, but I may not have. Oh, I did. His name is Baldric. And also he shows up with Valentianus, who's the village vicar, the vicar of Yaldir. So he shows up at the door. The innkeeper goes, "There he is! There he is, Baldric! I found him! That qualifies me for the reward, does it not?" Baldric's like, "We'll talk about that later." And he's like, "You, up against the wall." Immediately, Mudshol, of course, being a barbarian, he draws his weapon. In this case, he's got a spear. He takes his spear. It was leaning up against the wall behind him, and gets ready to do battle. Eckhard's like, wait. You don't understand. This is totally a different person. There's been a mistake. You know me. I'm a local here. Of course, you can listen to me. He's going to try and stop it. Now, I'm going to say this is a level 2, which is once again a 25. It's very unlikely that he'll roll it with his 13. But, you know, never say die. So we're going to go ahead and roll. I rolled a 9. 9 plus 13 is 22. That's pretty cool. We got some more experience points, but it was not a success. And the Baldric sends the guards in, like he just sends them in. So let me show you a little bit how combat works in Tunnels and Trolls. All right, we're gonna cut for a second. Okay. Here's a quick primer on the way that Tunnels and Trolls combat works. It's not done individually, it's done as a group. That's what kind of makes this game somewhat conducive to solo gaming. You take the dice pool of whatever they're using, and you add it all up. So Eckhardus has 3 dice 6, and his combat adds are +1. Mushel has a spear which does 5d6, and his combat adds are +0. But Fira, the little leprechaun, his only got a dagger. His dagger is 2 dice 6 +2, but his combat adds are +10. So he's got quite a lot. Now, when you take all that and add it up, you come out to 10d6 plus 13. I'm going to say that there's 4 guards and Baldric, right? So the 4 guards plus Baldric and Valentianus, who's the vicar, is not going to take part in the combat. The guards have what's called, in this case, a monster rating. And we're going to make them a monster rating of 10 each. This could be over pretty quickly. Not in favor of the party, by the way. So that's 40. And then Baldric, we're going to say he has a monster rating of 15. So 40, 55. So 55 monster rating equals 6d6 plus 25, 27. It's divide this by 10, add 1 to get your dice, and then divide the full number by half to get the adds. Now, during the battle, the dice don't go down unless somebody dies, but the combat adds steadily reduce if they take damage. You roll only 6-sided dice. It only takes 6-sided dice. However, there is an interesting thing that happens that goes on. For every 6 you roll, you can't soak this up by armor. So even a weaker party that has some armor is able to withstand a lot of damage. So in this case, the guards here, we're going to say that the guards have... they don't have much in the way of armor. They have spears and they have cloth jerkins, which are armor of 1. As far as the players go, or the player characters, or the party, they have different sets of armor. So, for example, Faradoc has a... he's carrying a buckler, he's wearing a mail hood. Eckhard has got an open-faced helm, and he's got a buckler, and he's got light leather. Mushel's got cloth armor, same as the guards, and a buckler and a steel cap. This may or may not help them, and this may be a bad encounter. Now, luckily for the players, even if they are defeated, they'll basically be arrested. They're going to be, let's say it's non-lethal combat because they want to arrest the players. Of course, Mushel will eventually be probably executed, but the rest of them, they're going to get arrested. All right, so now you roll the full number. So in the case of the party, 3, 6, 9. I need 10 dice, and we're going to roll and add 13. It doesn't seem likely that the party's going to win with 10d6 plus 13 versus 66 plus 27. The law of averages is not very much in their favor, but they do have more dice to roll, which means they have more chances of rolling 6s. And indeed, I rolled lots of 6s. So we just count those all up, or we count all the dice up first. That's 24, 29, 30, 36, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42 plus 13. That equals 42 plus 13, that's 55. Pretty cool. And out of those, we had 5. Was it 4 or 5? I thought it was 5, but maybe it's just 4. 4 spite. So that's probably going to wound at least one of the guards. The guards roll 6 dice 6. And they get to add a much larger number, 27. And they did some spite on their own. So they did 10, 15, 21, and 27. That's 48. So when we compare the numbers, we can see that the player party won 55 to 48. So that's 7 points of damage. The spite is already counted in there, so we don't have to worry about it. 1 point gets taken off. That's 6. So we have... the guards are like this, 10, 10, 10, 10, and then there's a 15. One of the guards is down to 6. Wait. Down to 3. He took 7 points of damage. Well, he took 7 points of damage, but 1 point of armor off, so he's down to 4. Alright, that's round 1. In round 2, here's an interesting thing that wizards can do, is they're able to cast in the same round as they fight. So even though he's fighting every round with his dagger, Fear is attacking with his dagger, Eckhard's attacking with his club, Mushel's attacking with his spear, Fira can cast in the same round as he's attacking. This also works the same way with missile weapons. So let's go with... I have a spell that I'd like to use, and the spell is going to be called Take That, You Fiend. It costs... let's see... normally it costs 5 to cast. He has a focus, a pebble, so it takes 1 off, so he's got 4. You use your wizardry stat to cast it, so his 10 goes down temporarily to 6. You can cast this 1 more time. And Take That, You Fiend is a blast, like an energy blast, that shoots out and does 12 points of damage, and he decides to do that directly to Baldric. reducing him from 15 to 3. So now we're going to count them back up again. They still get all their dice, 66, but now we've got 37, and 37 divided by 2 is 15, 18. So now we're down to 66 plus 18. So let's roll the dice. Round 2. 3, 6, 9, 10. Fira's round 2. Fira did not count. Round 1. Fira did not cast a spell. Round 2. Fira cast a spell. Eckhart has a spell as well, but he's not going to be using it. I didn't get any 6s this time, so hopefully we don't just flat out lose. 15, 20, and then I got 26, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. 36 plus 13 is 49. Pretty good. The guards attack, and they are at plus 18. So, 1 point of spite damage was done last round. We're going to say that Faradoc took that one. All right, so here we go. There's the other guys. That's 8, 9, 9 and 5 is 14, and 6 is 20, 20 and 18 is 38. So 49 to 38 is the players won by 11 points. And no spite on either side. But if we won by 11 points, we're going to knock out one guard. We're going to go ahead and knock out Baldric, who is the leader of the guards. That's 7. Each one had a point of armor, so that's 8, 9. And then 10, 11. So we're going to damage this guy down 1 point. So we've got 2 guards at top. One's down to 9. And the other 2 are at top. Now the guards have lost their leader, and also he was they noticed their boss Baldric blasted by Take That, You Fiend. So we're going to give them a chance. Do they run away? There's a couple of ways we could handle this. There's probably a system in Tunnels and Trolls, but I don't know what it is offhand. We could say it's a charisma. A charisma? Oh, yes. Let's say, does Muzzle intimidate them? Let's make it a level 2 save against charisma. And so they have, he has a charisma of 17. Level 2, he has to get a 25. Let's roll the dice. And eventually, maybe I'll give him the skill of intimidation. But I got an 8. 17 and 8 actually is 25. So let's write that down on our XP chart. 25. And without further ado, the last, were there 2 guards? 3 guards. Bolt for the door. They run for it. Muzzle makes to go after them, but Fira, who is, almost never talks, the leprechaun, he goes, let them run. All right, he actually says something. Valentianus is stood there in the doorway, and he glares at the group for a second, but Eckhart pleads with him. He goes, look, I don't know what's going on here, but Muzzle is innocent. He's been with us the whole time. We spent the last 3 days traveling here. Valentianus looks around warily. There is something strange going on in town. Something strange going on in town. And I have my suspicions who it is. You're going to be in trouble with the guards. Here, help me bring Baldric over to the chapel. Maybe we can revive him. He's like, and Muzzle's like, revive him? I ought to kill him. I'm a death chanter. I should be able to drink his blood now. And Eckhart goes like, don't you don't want to validate any of their suspicions about you, Muzzle. And he goes, oh yeah, I forgot. So anyways, the innkeeper, of course, is hiding in the place. The townsfolk are all townsfolk. Nobody's an adventurer except for the adventurers and the guards. So because nobody's being directly threatened, they warily let them leave. And the group of 3 accompanies Valentianus to the chapel, bringing the unconscious forms of Baldric and the one unconscious guard. And they carry them over there, and they allow them to tend their wounds. Valentinianus explains on the way. There's been a lot of unexplained things that have gone on. The catacombs have been opened. There's all this stuff, and people have been disappearing in town. That's the other thing. Nobody wants to talk about that. I guess I have to believe you if you say that you guys have been on the road for the last few days, but there's something dark going on, and I don't like what it is. Um, the group is not sure what it is, but remember my last plot point. My last plot point is it's a problem returns, and the problem that I had returns. There's a number of ways we could interpret this, but I decided that the problem is there is an actual vampire in town, and just as they're tending the wounds to the to Baldric, suddenly Baldric's eyes jerk open and they glow red, and he says, "My master is calling me." And then Valentinia starts back. Mushel grabs a spear as if to kill him immediately, but Valentianus holds him back, and he holds it back. He goes, "No, I think I've seen this before. There's something going on." Baldric rises from the little bench they had him lying on where they bound his wounds. The other guard is still unconscious, and he gets straight up, and he walks towards the front of the chapel, and then we see the silhouette of a strange figure in the chapel, and what you see is he's a tall, sort of bald humanoid with pointed ears and glowing white eyes. And he opens his mouth and he goes, "Well, I suppose it's time for me to drop this charade. I'm taking over this town, Valentianus. You should give up that victim over there so that I may feed." And Valentinianus realizes, "It's you, it's Beck." And of course these guys don't know who it is. And he goes, "His name is Byron. He is a vampire that once haunted this area." Okay, so Byron shows up, but then he recoils from the chapel. And he goes, "You're protected by a holy aura. I can't get in here, but that won't stop my minions." And he steps back, and then he kind of disappears. He spreads out his arms, and these membranous wings unfold, and he flaps off as the sun starts to go down. And suddenly we see a crowd of humanoids shuffling towards the entrance of the citadel, or of the chapel. And we realize that a lot of the townsfolk have over time been converted into thralls. Thralls are a type of they're not really vampires. So I redesigned vampires for Tunnels and Trolls for my own purposes, and vampires are their own alien race. They're the bald Nosferatu type vampires, and one of their abilities that they have is the ability to create thralls. Let me show you my printout for these because it's pretty cool. Okay. So I printed these out. I actually created these. I've got the Master Vampire stats, and I've got the Thrall stats. The Thralls are it kind of explains. They're humans that have been turned into a slave of the vampire that rules the town. And they don't have they're not full vampires or anything like that, and they're not really truly undead. The Master Vampire also, I'm trying to drop some of the D&D assumptions for Tunnels and Trolls and saying that vampires are their own race. So he's alone, he's MR40, but he's actually kind of abandoned this battle, and he's sending the thralls in. Now, we can't overwhelm them with thralls. One of the things that Tunnels and Trolls doesn't really excel at is if you overwhelm the players with hordes of monsters, it can go really badly. Also, I forgot to give myself experience points. So I should get experience points credit for the battle. The battle was MR55, so we get to throw down a 55 in our experience point total tallies here as well. It's also important to note that Faradoc did not get his wizardry points back. He's only got 6 points left. That's his spellcasting ability. That's good for one more spell. Eckhart only knows one spell. He's not a true wizard. He's a bard courtesan, and luckily he does know a spell called "Oh Go Away," which is a spell that'll make one creature go away, like run away, if it's under a number of points. Okay, so Farah, Mushel, and Eckhardus look at each other, and of course Valentianus um, um, stares back at them, and he goes, "This is very bad." Well, obviously. Um, so the first thing he does is he takes out his holy symbol of Yaldir, and he activates it, and this creates some kind of like shimmering light that seems to trap Baldric, who's one of the thralls. And he's like, if I can figure out, if I can figure out what's going on here, I might be able to reverse the curse and be able to drive the vampire out. But I'm going to need your help because Lord Byron, the vampire, is going to attack this temple with everything he's got. Just as they look up, the doors slam open, and suddenly four lurching thralls come in the room. So I've got the thrall stats right here. They are different than the guards. They're tougher. Their MR is 12 instead of 10. And they actually have another power. At night, they get to add an extra 1d6. Now, I said that they had been drinking for a while in town, so I'm going to say it's night. So let's just see if we can actually do this. It might be bad. This might be a bad scene for the party. All right, the party is as before. 10d6 plus 13, right? And the four vampire thralls that we've got, normally they're 12. Well, it's still 12. We just get to add extra dice for each one. So for MR12 times 4 is 48. So 48 is 5d6. See, as you divide it by 10, add the 1. So 4.8 plus 1, it comes 5d6 plus 24. Okay? But we get to add one extra dice per guy. So now it becomes 9d6 plus 24. And the player group is 10d6 plus 13. Now, the one good thing about this is that they have no armor. And also, they have a sensitivity to silver or holy weapons. Silver or holy weapons used against the thrall count all ones as sixes. Like they double damage. Or not double damage, they boost the damage up. So, maybe Valentianus knows this. And I think it's very likely that he knows this. And so he grabs up a... in the first round, he grabs up a flask of holy water that's right there in the shrine, and he douses one of their weapons, and I'll decide by random. 1 to 2, Mushel, 3 to 4, Farah, 5 to 6, Eckhard. Probably Eckhard. Right? That's the one that he identifies with most. Oh, I lost the dice. Let's do it. Let's do another roll. He actually does it for Farah. He goes, he grabs Farah's hand as the doors get flung open. He grabs Farah's hand, and he goes, "Let me see your dagger," and he dips it into the holy font. And for this combat round, Farah is going to do an extra bit of damage, counting all ones as sixes, is basically how that works. Let me see if I can get that other dice. Well, I'll just leave it for right now. All right, so the thralls come lurching in. So here's the players. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. This plus 13. And I have to roll Farah's, though, because he's special. This is where the ones get counted as sixes. He didn't roll any ones, but he rolled doubles. Normally, doubles are... you just roll them again, but not in combat, unfortunately. Here's the rest of the rolls. Nice. Well, at least one spite damage was done. So this is 10, 18, 20, 30, 34 plus 13. 34 plus 13 equals 47. Okay, the players leap into action. Fira jabs at one with his knife. Muzzle attacks with his spear. And let's say that Eckhard kicks over one of the shrine benches that they were using and also defends with his club. So we got a total of, like I said, 47. The danger, 3, 6, 9, is as follows. And I don't think we did any spite, unfortunately. They didn't do any spite either. They did 9, 10, 15, 20, 24, 27 plus 24. Oh, they beat us, right? So 51. They did 51. So they didn't beat us by much. They did 51 to 47. That's actually what we call a push right here because they beat us by 4. But as long as there's no spite in there, and there's not, nothing would get through any one of their armors. So, and I get to decide, which ones are pushing through to armor. As long as there's no spite, there's no damage here. It looks like a close battle. So, pitched battle. Here's the second round. I need 10d6. 3, 6, 9. All right, camera crapped out, but we're going for it. We're still in. All right, here's round 2, or round 3 even. We've started doing some spite damage, which is really good. There's 2 6s right there. 6, 6. So that's 10, 15, 21, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Let's say that one of the other heroes got his thing dipped into the holy water, so that becomes a 6. That 1. So let's go ahead and count it up again. We're going to say it's 3 spite damage. Let's see. 18, 22, 26, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 41, plus 13 is 54. All right. Bad guys. Take away 1. No spite. I can see right away. 10, 15, 20, 25, 26, and 26 and 24 equals out to 50. So we beat him by 4. And we already had 4 spites, so that all counts. Beating him by 4. Now remember their MRs are 12 each, so we basically have 12, 12, 12, and 12. This one's down to 8. This next round, Valentianus blesses the final weapon, which would be Muzzle's spear. And they go ahead and attack 3, 6, 9, 10. All ones treated as 6s, and all 6s count as spite. So actually, that's a 6 now. All right. So what did we get? We got 2 spite. So 6, 6, and 8. That's 12 and 8 is 20. 30. 37, 44. 44 and 13 is 57. So actually, that's a pretty good roll. The bad guys put their 1 down. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. And by the way, there was 3 spite. So just got to remember that 3. That was a 5. They got at least 1 spite, so somebody's taking a damage. 10, 15, 21, 22, 23, 27, 29, 30, 31, 32, 32, and 24. Oh, wait, we damaged one of them, so hold on. 36 and 8 is 44, so it's plus 22 now. This number goes down. that becomes 54. So 54 to, what did I get? 57. Actually, we beat him again, so that's 3 points. One of my guys takes damage. I'm going to say it's Muzzshole this time. So we're going to say damage. Where's my damage? -1. Right here. But 57 minus 54 is 3 points. And that reduces the guy that was 8 down to 5. So 5, 12, 12, and 12. And 36 and 5 is 41. That means their bonus number goes down to 20. We attack again. We have kind of a cool ability. Actually, Faradoc is going to go ahead and use his second Ogo Away spell. That reduces, it's normally costs 5. He can reduce it by 1 down to 4. So he's got 2 points of wizardry left. Effectively, he's out of points. I mean, he can cast some minor spells now, but not much. He automatically does IQ 12, killing one of the vampires outright. That leaves, they're down to 29. 2 vampires are up, one with 5 points. Two are up that are full, one's got 5 points, so there's 3 total. That's 29. 29 divided by 2 is 15, so basically it's plus 15 now. 9d6, actually it's not 96. Yeah, it is. It's 96 plus 15. No, it's 66, because they only have 2 dice each. They're just plus 1 dice, so it's 2 force. Hold on for a second. 24 and 9 is 29. It would be 3 die 6 plus 15. They each get a bonus die. It's 66 plus 15. I got it right. Okay. So here's our round 4. 3, 6, 9, 10. Okay, I don't see any ones, but I do see a 6 and another 6 and another 6. So we're at least doing 3 spite, no matter what happens. 18, 20, 25, 30, 34, 39, plus 13. I'm not great at math, but 52 total. We've been pretty consistent with our totals. 52 and at least 3 spite. I don't think it's going to matter. I think they're going to lose 4, 5, 6 dice. Their dice pools are going down. 6 dice plus 15. They did do 1 spite, so somebody's taking some damage. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 19, 20, 21 plus 15 is 36. So 52 minus 36, that's 14, 15, 16. Now, one of my guys took another point of damage. I'm going to say it's definitely Muzzshole. But we did 52 minus 36, 16. That's enough to take out the one with 5 and then bring one of these guys down to 1. So we basically have 2 thralls left, one of which is barely hanging on with 1 point. One's got 12 points. Total of 13. Now, it's built into the thralls description, which is right over here, whoops, that they don't run away. They're completely under the control of the master vampire, unless somebody like a loved one or a friend can make a personal appeal and then like beat him, like get a charisma saving throw. So I think we just go for another combat round. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And here it is. This plus 13. I got tons of spite here. I didn't get any 1s, but that's fine. 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 21 and 8 is 29. And then 5 is 34. 34 and 13 is 34 and 13 is 47. That's actually kind of a low roll for me, but that's fine. Was there any spite? I think we're going to beat them regardless, so let's find out. They have a total of 13, which would be 2d6 plus 6, but they each get 1 die added, so it's 46 plus 6. So their numbers have gone down, making them much weaker. A total of 10, 14 plus 6 is 20. So 27 damage. That's enough to kill both of the remaining vampire or the thralls. They're not vampires, actually. So Blast of the Thralls dies. Oh, and we get experience points for that. 48. Where's my experience point card? Here it is. But Valentinas turns to them and he goes, "This is very bad. Um, Master Vampire, he only has the ability to infect a certain number of these vampire spawns at a time. And I think you may have killed all of them except for Baldric, who he escaped with. I think Baldric... no, did he... Oh, he didn't... They've got Baldric trapped. If we keep Baldric trapped here, that'll count against his total number of thralls. You have a chance to beat him. He will have to probably retreat back to the catacombs, where I'm sure he has his lair. So I'm going to need you to investigate the catacombs outside of town and find out where Byron is located. I know the rough location of where he was originally entombed, but there's no telling where he might be now. So that brings this adventure to a close. We can add experience points for everybody and count them all up and then divide them all up. So we had a total of, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8. 80 points plus 5, 6, 7, 12, plus 55, plus 48. So this is the experience points and how they work. 13, 15. They've got a new ally. They've got Valentinias as an ally. 9, 10, 18, 19. 195 total. So they don't get each 195. They get 195 divided by 3. So, which becomes 6 and 5. 65 each. All right? So the way adventure points or experience points works in this game is you use them to increase your stats directly. So for 65 points, for example, Faradoc here, who has a low... Oh, and they've been slightly damaged as well. He might wish to raise his wizardry from 10 to 11. He's going to need 100. You basically you add it times 10, whatever that number is, to figure out what it is. So he's going to save his XPs or his APs. AP 65. How about any of these other guys? Do any of these other guys have low scores? Muzzjol's got a speed of 6 and a luck of 4. It may be that he wants to improve his luck. Or he might want to save his stuff and improve his strength. Or his con. Nothing's really working against him. We'll save his stuff as well. AP 65. And then finally, Eckhardus. His AP is 65 as well. They did pretty good. They only took some minor damage. He can't afford to raise any of his stuff. It was a short adventure. So basically, that's how solo role-playing works and how the various subsystems and things go in. I'm going to roll up some more adventures, and maybe we'll do another, like a sequel to this particular adventure where our heroes, Eckhardus, Muzzjol, and Faradoc, head into the catacombs. Maybe I'll even make a character card for Valentianus, and maybe he leads them into the catacombs. And they figure out where the Master Vampire is hiding out. So remember, these are first level guys, so there's not a whole lot of like super awesome action taking place, but it's enough. Anyways, thanks for watching. Talk to you later.